Hi, I'm Phyllis from southernfrugal.com. Today we're going to fix a meatloaf, and we're going to use some of the hamburger that I got at Walmart, and it's it's 93% lean. So we're going to put some vegetables in there. Of course, the standard green pepper and onion. I'm also going to put celery, and this is some I had frozen from like July. It's about maybe, I don't know, 3/4 a cup of celery, little small pieces of celery. So I'm grinding all that up, or blending it, or whatever, in the food processor, and I used my little attachment to shred the carrots first, but I've also got the blade is still on there. So we're going to put the onion in, a small onion, just cut up in big chunks, oops, and a small green pepper, put that in. And I'm going to put the celery, which is still a little frozen. And we're going to go ahead and put the spices in. Now, I'm going to, on this particular meatloaf, I'm going to go ahead and use the Old Bay. And I'm going to put a good heaping teaspoon in. And I'm going to probably just put maybe another little half teaspoon or so of regular salt. That's sea salt too, by the way. All right, so why don't we just go ahead and put our egg in too while we're at it. We'll break that on the side there. Just put the egg in. Now I've already ground up my breadcrumbs. Put that in the garbage. So this is about, I don't know, that's probably a good 2 cups of breadcrumbs, and I made those from end pieces of French bread, you know, the little small end pieces. When we get through with the bread, I just put those in the freezer and then grind them up when I'm ready to use them. So we're just going to go ahead and grind this up. I'll cut this off while we're doing that, so we'll be right back. Okay, I have ground that up. I've just actually pulverized it. You wouldn't be able to recognize any of the vegetables in there. So we've got our breadcrumbs. We're going to dump this in just a second. We've got our breadcrumbs here, and this is 2 pounds of lean ground beef. I'm going to go ahead and put that in with the breadcrumbs. And I'm just going to use my hand, and we're going to get those breadcrumbs all mixed in. Yeah, so with the lean ground beef, you really need something extra in the meatloaf, really, to keep it tender. And with this meatloaf, we're probably going to have, I'm thinking, cream potatoes, because I'm going to make a gravy to go on the meatloaf when I serve it. No ketchup, it'll be gravy, brown gravy. All right, so we've got those breadcrumbs pretty well incorporated into the meat now. And now we're going to pour this mixture in the food processor right over there. I'm just going to use my hand and get that scraped all out of there. Yeah, I mean, you know, this sort of makes it a little bit healthier than just straight meat in a meatloaf. And we've got a lot of moisture from the vegetables. Now I'm going to bake this at 350 degrees for probably about an hour and a half, but really until it reaches 160 degrees internally. So, and I'm going to bake this in 5 by 9 by I think about 3.5 inch tall Pyrex loaf pan. So we want to just get that all mixed in. Yeah, so while I'm mixing this, I've got a little story. Let me back up. Yeah, all right. So when I worked for the City of Newport News, I worked with a lady. Her name was Anna. She was older than me, but we had the same lunch hour, and her desk was right beside mine. So we went to lunch together a lot. And we used to go to a restaurant back then. It was called Howard Johnson's. I guess they had the motel and everything with it too, but we ate at that restaurant, not super often, but every time we did, I always got meatloaf because, I was real young and I didn't know how to cook meatloaf. And I loved meatloaf, so I would always order meatloaf. And every time I would order the meatloaf, Anna would always say, "Oh, I would never order meatloaf anywhere when you're eating out at a restaurant because you never know what they put in it." And I had never really thought about that, but I still ordered meatloaf. And she would always order fried clams. So every time I would get the meatloaf, and every time she would get the fried clams. And so finally one day, she said, "Well, you want to taste of one? I think you'd really like them." And so she gave me one, and I said, "Well, Anna, this tastes like chewing up rubber bands. You can't ever get it chewed up." And it was true. I don't know if they weren't fixing them right or what, but she loved them. She loved to chew them, and I didn't like them. They, kind of taste like seafood, but they were so rubbery. It was just like, one of those little tan rubber bands. That's what it was like chewing that up. So anyway, every time she would say the same thing, and then every time I would say, "Are you going to order those clams again?" Ugh, like that. We just had a thing about saying that every time. So, and I still love meatloaf, and I don't mind ordering it out. I just love it. So, all right, so we got this mixed up. And then, of course, the Pyrex pan needs to be greased very thoroughly. And again, remember with the meatloaf that doesn't have, the hamburger that doesn't have a lot of fat in it, you're going to have to do something so it'll be moist. Now, what I like to do is have it flattened out, and then we like to have it for a meal, and of course I freeze some of it. And the other thing we like is to have meatloaf sandwiches, just mayonnaise with on 2 pieces of bread, and then put the meatloaf, have it slightly warm. It's delicious. So I think we're probably going to have creamed potatoes, maybe broccoli, and we might even have a little salad. So we're not going to be eating till later today. I'm mashing this out because I don't want it to puff up too far in the middle there. All right, that ought to do it. All right, so again, we're going to, instead of putting, like ketchup or something like that on it, when we have it for a meal, we're going to use brown gravy. And of course, we're in the South and might as well have creamed potatoes. Now, Mr. Bucky likes rice better, but I'm the cook, so we're having creamed potatoes. All right, so we will see y'all in a couple of hours, and we'll be having this meal. We'll be back. All right, the meatloaf cooked for about an hour and a half. And there it is. We're having gravy, brown gravy, mashed potatoes, and this is the green beans, and I actually put a cube of almond butter in there along with a little garlic. And we got a whole big pan of biscuits, which I'll be freezing. I've already buttered the 4 on the end. Anyway, I'm going to put this on the plate and show you what it looks like, so we'll be right back. All right, we are ready to eat. There's the meatloaf with the gravy on top. Those are mashed potatoes, of course, made from scratch. They're not boxed potatoes. And green beans with almond butter and garlic, kind of cooked in the liquid. And a biscuit. We'll probably end up getting another biscuit. There's my plate, and this is very much like the Howard Johnson meatloaf that we used to get. You can't really recognize any onions or peppers or anything in the meatloaf. And I cooked enough, we'll freeze the biscuits, and I cooked enough mashed potatoes that I'm going to make probably about 4 more meals that I'll freeze. with gravy on them, and there's the rest of the meatloaf. All right, we will see y'all next time. Just a simple meatloaf, but it's got carrots, onions, bell pepper, carrots, onion, bell pepper, and celery, and breadcrumbs, and of course the lean meat. Now, I did use the drippings from the pan to make the gravy because there's very little grease there, since this was lean hamburger. And it was from Walmart, so I've got our tea ready and we're ready to eat. All right, so we will see y'all next time.